So just thrilled that your church and the leadership and the parents and the staff, everybody has just embraced all people. And I'm just excited to see this ministry take off, and I think I just want to pray right now. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So Lord, I give you thanks and praise. You are incredible, and you love us so much. You love each and every one of us, our strengths. You've created our weaknesses. You've created us, and you love us with an immense love. And Lord, I just pray that you would bless the Extra Care Ministries, and that you would raise it up to not only be a model program for the city, but the state,
Yes.
country, and even the world, that we can be able to have all of your children participate in the body of Christ. I just pray that you would be with us for this training session and help us to be able to learn how to include not only all of your children, but Lord, help us to be able to learn how to facilitate that. We ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. Okay, so I have little some stickers. So I want to see kind of where you all are. And first of all, do I need to say like in a spot? No, since
Yes.
It's
okay.
a wide angle.
Okay, well,
So
good.
it's
Yes,
I
you
need
must.
a wide angle. And then also
Like
another
bargaining.
thing, what time do we dismiss?
8:30. So if
8:15,
you run to
8:30?
8:25, 8:30, you're good.
Okay, awesome, okay. So I'm gonna, everybody, I wanna see what your understanding is on inclusive practices and the inclusion philosophy, okay? Because we are all at different understanding levels. We all have different experiences and different backgrounds. So I'm just gonna see where we're at, so where we can take it from here. So, Jay, can you, everybody over here gets a little green dot? And if you could take one
I
and
want a
just
red
pass.
one.
Pass it on?
I
We're
like
gonna, okay.
green.
And then what you're gonna
Am I giving
do
you
is you're gonna
trouble?
bring your little dot, your little green dot, and you're gonna
Can I
bring it
see
over
the
here.
class?
If you don't have any knowledge, you're like, what is inclusion? What is inclusive practices? I've heard of it. I'll put it here. If it's like, yeah, I know what it is. I can tell you, some practices. Or it's like, if you need help, I can help you, so be a resource. So when you get a chance, I want you to take your little green dot and come on over and put it where you feel your level of understanding is. Well, excellent. I'm glad to see that, that you all are aware of kind of what inclusion is and what inclusive practices are. A lot of times you see this in like school settings, in public and private parochial schools. Not too often do we see it in a Christian education setting or even a church setting. So in the past, a lot of times anybody who has had some unique challenges, parents just kept them home. And everybody missed out on learning, being able to participate and worship and praise and be uplifted by the body of Christ. And that's sad. So things, fortunately, are changing, and we are many churches are embracing all people, and it's great.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's good. So, I have, let me see, there's 4 things I was really praying about. I'm like, this is the 4 things that I hope that y'all go away with, okay? So the first one is just to be able to understand what the inclusive philosophy is. It is a philosophy, it's not a program, it's a mindset. And so also to learn about some inclusive practices, because part of that mindset and part of that philosophy is including everybody in the body of Christ to their, what we call their least restrictive environment, because sometimes people have some anxiety, they might have some sensory challenges where it does not benefit them to be in like the main service, or to participate in worship, or to participate in praise, and or even sermons or lessons. So we need to find that balance, and so we're going to learn kind of some things that we can look for. And then also we're going to discover some inclusive strategies for specific disability areas. And then more importantly, I just want you to enjoy your time and just feel that this is going to be a really valuable time, and the things that we discuss and we learn together that is going to be lasting. So I know you all know each other pretty well, I'm sure. I don't know the majority of you. So I just wanted to just kind of see here. We have probably different, probably have some parents of individuals with some special, unique differences. We probably have some buddies that are in training, and maybe some teachers. I wanted to see kind of where we're at. So if you have a child that is going to be in the program, can you just raise up your hand? All right, awesome.
I didn't hear you. What you said.
Okay. I apologize. My
I'm
throat's
sorry.
just all kind of scratchy.
No, I wasn't paying attention for a minute. and I
No,
was
that's
like,
fine. I
oh,
understand that.
something else.
That's what happens a lot of times. Minds wander. So I had asked if there were any parents that had some children that were going to be in the program that had some special.
Like in this class.
Yeah. And then also, do we have any that are in training to be a buddy? A buddy? Awesome.
My
Good.
husband's in
Oh,
class,
fabulous.
but he can't be here tonight.
Okay. Good. Okay. So, yeah. Awesome. And then what other? Do we just have people that are interested in the program?
Some individuals are in the room because they are going to be touched by our program.
Oh, okay.
And
Awesome.
so how are they to engage and interact with the program? Because it might be it would be in the sanctuary and in
Okay.
youth group, and so
Yep.
they may not be
All-
personally doing the
Doing
ministry,
it,
but they're
uh-huh.
going to be touched by our ministry.
Excellent.
So
Okay.
they're to gain
Good.
understanding.
Good. That's awesome. Perfect. All right. All right. Well, I have I have 4 grandchildren, and they just make my heart happy. So I have all 4 grandsons, so it gets a little chaotic when we're at the house, and so it takes me quite a while to get things put back. But we had my boyfriend's grandson over, and he spent the night, and we were getting ready for breakfast, and I'm like, okay, Theo, what do you want? What do you want for breakfast? You want cereal? No. And he likes the pancakes with the sausage on them, and no. And he went ball eggs. And I'm like, ball eggs? What is ball eggs? And I'm like scrambled eggs? No. And I know, ball eggs. So I text my daughter, I'm like, okay, what are ball eggs? After we go, I'm like trying to figure out, and she's like, they're hard-boiled eggs. I'm like, oh, okay, I get hard-boiled eggs. So I'm like, okay, well, we don't have hard-boiled eggs. We don't have ball eggs. So, and then, so later on in the day progressed, and we were ready for lunch. And I'm like, okay, all right, Theo, you got chicken nuggets, fish sticks, like, what do you want? He goes, I want a hot dog popsicle. I'm like, oh, here we go. Hot dog popsicle. And so I'm trying to figure it out, and I couldn't figure out what a hot dog popsicle is. You may probably be thinking of what it is. So I'm like texting my daughter again. I'm like, Ellen, what is a hot dog popsicle? She said, a corn dog. And I'm like, oh, I have corn dogs.
Like a hot dog on a stick.
Yeah, hot dog on a stick, a hot dog popsicle. So now you won't ever look at a corn dog the same way as a hot dog popsicle. But just the different levels of understanding. I was not being able to communicate with Theo on what he wanted. He knew what he wanted. I didn't know what he wanted. Fortunately, Mama knew what he wanted, so I was able to, connect with her. And one of the great things that I've understood is you, as a ministry, is going to be able to use that parent voice and be able to help guide their experience here at church, which is huge, because mamas and papas know that. They know their kiddo. So anyway, so what is inclusion? Now, it means all individuals with and without disabilities. Okay? We live, we learn, we work, we play, we worship, we eat. We do everything together. Okay? That's the inclusive philosophy. We're not working in our silos anymore. Research actually tells us that not only the individual with a disability, but those without disabilities benefit when they're together. When we're together, we're learning from each other. We're, creating empathy and cooperation and everything. So that is the philosophy: is we do everything together. Now we're going to be learning a little bit about where that balance is, because when it does not benefit the individual with a disability or the individual with some certain weaknesses, or those that have other strengths, then we need to find that balance, because it's more like kind of not in harmony. So we need to find that so it is a beneficial experience. So we also provide supports to meet the individual needs, that everyone is accepted regarded as a valued member of society. I love the verse in 1 Corinthians 12 and 22. And it's just, it's talking about the body of Christ and the parts of the body. And the one part that says, the parts of the body that seem the weakest and the least important, they actually are the most necessary. So we can learn and we can grow, and Christ can use all of this. Okay? So, all right. Again, I just wanted to say that the inclusive philosophy, it's not a program. It's not like, okay, well, we're going to try it for a little bit, and then we're going to, see how it goes. It's a mindset. And I really feel that your church has embraced that, and I just commend you on that, so that's excellent. So, here we go. We're going to be talking about some of the practices. Now, when the role, I feel I'm going to say the role of the buddy, I wanted to see, is it to be able just to be a support, like to provide to see if there might be some potential problems, and to be able to provide that support? Is that the role of the buddy?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
So
Just to help.
the role of our buddies are to really be able to become real intimately aware of the individual's needs, to assess, which we learned 2 weeks ago, to assess and to help them succeed as much as possible within the areas of what's happening in the ministry.
Right.
Chris, am I missing anything on that? We were talking about that today. Yes, that's good. Okay.
Yes.
So our goal is, as much as they can be a part of what's happening, to roll with that. And we had talked about even with the guidance of the parent. So like we may have this space here for a sensory room, but if the parent doesn't really want their child to even have the option to come into this space, then we need to try as a classroom here to move them where the parents or where the caregivers have agreed for them to be. So our inclusion is actually involving what the parents want,
Okay,
or what the
that's
caregivers
awesome.
want. So
Incredible, yeah. So I'm sure there'll be lots of different opportunities for the buddies to provide support, be able to de-escalate some maybe some potential behaviors, or some feelings of overwhelmness and stuff. So with this in mind, it's important that they develop, and we all develop some appropriate skills on how to manage those situations. We need to be able to intervene proactively before a lot of behaviors take place and it's disruptive, and to not only the individual but also to the rest of the body. So hopefully we're going to be able to move from just reacting and like being able to remove somebody, to be able to be more proactive and be able to see the different signs before they get to the point of maybe meltdowns and stuff.
Is that kind of like saying somebody's getting depressed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be. That could be. Yep, there's
I
different
have a lot of
signs.
that problem.
Do ya? Yes. Yeah.
Of getting depressed and stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Well, a little later we're gonna kind of talk about that a little.
I was just wondering if that was kind of like saying somebody's getting depressed.
It could be. It could be. And that's great that your buddy is gonna be with you for an extended time, so they're gonna be able to see your moods, and be able to, I mean, they're gonna be praying for you, and they're gonna be able to, also be able to kind of see.
Like, what do you mean exactly?
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So if you have a buddy, then they'll be with you for.
Like a
Like a
husband?
few months? Yeah.
Or
They know
somebody.
you, right? Your husband knows you,
Yeah,
and he
my-
knows when you're sad, and he knows when you're happy, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, you got it, girl. You got it. So, but yeah, we'll talk about that. All right. So, one of the ways is to really be in tune and be an active listener to the individual with a disability. It's important to take into account what they're saying verbally and also non-verbally. A lot of times they're trying to communicate, and you may not know what a ball egg is, and they know what it is, and you have to be able to really kind of be understanding and help them understand that. So you're going to be listening also to their feelings and just not what they say, their facts. So, and as you get to know individuals with disabilities, without disabilities, as you get to know people, you get to know how they respond, and it's a good thing. Also, we always kind of talk about and what we call a genuine encounter moment. And this would be a kind of a goal for all of us, regardless if we have, if we're within the ministry or not. I mean, it's just it's a great goal to have, to be able to connect with people. So, so you're going to give the student, the individual, your total and complete focus. A lot of times, I know, you got some parents of kiddos that might be a little squirrely, or might have some behaviors, or might be a little ornery. And when you are not, when you're distracted doing something else, they are quite ingenious about getting into mischief. So that's the same thing, whether they're at home, whether they're at school, whether they're here at church. So just always being kind of focused on them and their needs. And especially as being a buddy, I feel that would be kind of your role, is to be able to be in tune with your friend. Okay. Also, just to make sure that eye contact. I know some disability areas, they will not really provide eye contact to you, but they do will glance up to see if you are, because a lot of times when you give that eye contact, that's focus, and they know that means that you are focused on them. So they might not be looking at you, but in the corner of their eye, they know that you are focused on them. And it brings them security. It kind of helps, a lot of times just that calming security thing. Also just listen closely, again, to the verbal, paraverbal. And then also, try as much just to withhold your judgment. It's a lot of times, sometimes it can be frustrating, and sometimes you get frustrated, but you try to remember that God's love, God's grace is for all, and His peace is for all. And there's times when things might be super chaotic, maybe even violent. So you are going to have to be that calmness and that peace, so then we can bring everything down. So that's a lot of times, unfortunately, our emotions get there, and then we are not allowed. We kind of add to it, so it's kind of hard. And also that withholding judgment. Interesting enough, some studies say that 90% of comments that individuals receive, especially children, are negative or directive. So the more genuinely we can engage in an authentic way, they are going to feel respected and valued. And we going to be able to positively impact their lives. So, all right, any questions so far? Yeah.
So sometimes with what you're saying is, we can say things like keeping our opinions out of it. And I'm assuming most buddies would never verbally, well, maybe they would, but generally wouldn't verbalize something like that to a child. What would you suggest are some tips and strategies for if I'm interacting with a child that this isn't my child, I'm being a buddy or something, I haven't known this child for years, and I'm starting to get attitudes and opinions that doesn't look like autism, that looks like they're being spoiled. What kind of tips and tricks would you have to do some good attitude readjustment?
Well, that's as your role. I don't feel that that's your responsibility. I think that's a parent's responsibility or an administrator's responsibility. And if it's to the like if you're saying they're giving you attitude and stuff.
No, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about. No, I'm talking about you, the buddy. Say you're spending some time with a child that you only spend a week or 2 weeks or maybe a month, and you're trying to keep yourself from developing your attitudes out of the picture, and just simply be our role. But I was saying, what kind of tips and tricks can we avoid getting ourselves too much into it?
Right. You mean, yes. Yeah. We're going to be going through, just keep that question in your mind, because we're going to be going through a lot of different strategies and stuff, especially we're going to be talking about setting limits, and then also your communication and stuff like that we're going to be talking about. So after, we're going to have a discussion time, and after, if it's still there, and I will. Here, wait. Here, write it down. And we're going to put, I didn't tell you about my other chart. Okay. So this is a no and a wonder, so he's wondering, so we're going to put that up there. And then we're going to talk about learning stuff. So, yeah. We got some, yeah. We have, there's pins back there, and we have what are these called? Post-it notes. Post-it notes somewhere. So anyway, but yeah. So thank you for doing that, and then that will remind us to go back to it. if we don't answer it. Okay. All right, active listening. Here we go. Now we're gonna set clear limits. So, as you're talking about like your buddy or even at home and stuff like that, students feel secure, children feel secure, I feel secure when I know what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. I like boundaries. I like it when we come to a stoplight. I know when that turns green, I can go and the other people are gonna stop. I like that. I like that, that when we, like if we're, cooking and stuff like that, and I know that when that timer goes off and my cake's gonna be done, I know that I like that. I like that order. And kids do too. So sometimes they want to push that because they, there's many different ways. It can be, they're wanting to avoid something, they want control, there's some needs aren't met and stuff like that. But for a lot of the time, they are pushing that just because there has not real been consistency with the different areas, different settings. So, kind of thinking back to back when you were in school, you had that teacher where you knew that you needed to be in your seat when that bell rang, and you knew that you were not allowed to chew gum or you were not allowed to talk. You knew that expectation, but then you go to another teacher, and there wasn't, you had so much fun, and kids were like, throwing spitballs or something like that. So there's a lot of inconsistency with expectations, and I think that's gonna be great with your ministry, that everybody's getting, training, and there's gonna be guidelines, and there's gonna be expectations for everyone in the ministry. One of the things is are there posted expectations in the classrooms and no? So it's just kind of an understood thing of how kids. So
I think that the buddies are going to begin to create that transition routine, and this is what's happening next, and being able to verbally prompt. So I have a feeling, because they're not posted in the rooms, so it will be our buddies' job to kind of help move along.
No, that'll be good. And then that's what. That's. We'll kind of get to that, because there's just that expectation, especially when you're in a big group setting and you're praising and you're worshiping, and it's exuberance and there's energy and there's just passion and music, and it's just loud, and you can act a certain way. I act a certain way for sure when I might be just dancing, moving around, raising my hands, belting it out and everything. But then when we transition and it's like, okay, and we sit down, then it's quiet time, and it's really kind of hard to say, okay, well, that expectation time has changed, so I can't do that anymore. And a lot of times, kids, adults have a hard time doing that automatically. So I think it'll be good, and just to be able to understand, okay, so this is what happens during praise and worship. We can dance, we can, raise our hands, but when it's time to go into our, small group class, we're gonna sit down, and it's expected that you're gonna sit in your chair, and you're gonna, do the craft or whatever. So just to be able to talk that through. So that'll be good. Avoid using fear and intimidation. Actually, research shows that that's not the most effective way to change behavior. And then also, as we're kind of talking about, avoid power struggles. The majority of the time, especially when you're not the parent, you do not win. So try to avoid them. And then we're gonna kind of move on to how to sidestep those power struggles. So, power struggles happen when two people hold different ideas and both are unwilling to compromise. Husbands and wives do it all the time, right? So, the best way to deal with these is to avoid them. And we try to help the individuals just understand and do what you want without making it kind of an ultimatum. And this is one of the things, as you kind of were talking about, like transition, to be able to say, okay, like, you know, okay, so we're gonna be in, you know, praise and worship for about 20 minutes. Kind of walk through their time in service, and then we're gonna take a break. And then if you need, we can go to this, you know, to the sensory room, we can go get a drink, we can go get go to the bathroom, and then we're gonna do this. So just walk through them. So it's not just a lot of people, regardless if they have disabilities or not, need to know what's coming next. And some people, it's a little more challenging for them to do it automatically. So it's really wise to be able to give them just kind of like that. Okay, here in about 2-3 minutes, you know, we're gonna be done, and then we're gonna move to a different, you know, room or something like that. So it's just not like, okay, we're done, let's go, you know, that kind of thing. So, and then their world and their security is gone. So, also it's great to be able just to find that common interest in, as you're talking, you know, get to know them. You know, a lot of times, to avoid power struggles, you know, you're able to, let's say, you know, if they're a gamer or something like that, just, you know, like, kind of get them off of their, because a lot of times they fixate, they hyper focus on something, and to be able just to take them out of that, like, hyper focus, and just be able to say, you know, like if they're a gamer and they like to play video games and stuff like that, and say, hey, were you able to were you able to play this weekend or this week or something like that, just to get them off, and then they'll start talking about it. Hope, you know, a lot of times they will, and then you'll be able to like, hey, okay, now let's go do this. It just takes them off of that control, avoidance, you know, that behavior piece, just to kind of get them off their game, you know, just to kind of get their mind to help it switch. So, and use one-step directives. So, as opposed to being like, all right, would you like to go get a drink right now? And they're gonna be like, nope. And you're like, oh, shoot. Well, we're gonna go get a drink right now. You know, you know, just to be directive and say, okay, I need you to get up, we're gonna go get a drink. And, you know, to be able to just that one, just be a directive instead of giving answers or giving questions. And again, like, okay, then thank you for getting up. I appreciate that. That was awesome. You did that so quick. I didn't know you could do that quick, you know? Praise as much as you can. I know it's gonna sound, it may sound a little foreign at first, but I mean, we need to build each other up. And that's one of the greatest ways that we can change behavior is by giving them the confidence that they can do it. Because so many times their whole life has been, well, you can't sit still, you can't do this, you always do this, you do this, and that's what they've heard their whole life. And we, especially as a church, is to be able to build them up and say, you do have strengths. God made you with strengths, and it's great, when we build that up. So, all right, so, and I think, one of the things that, did I see in some of the other things you guys were talking about, they're meeting their needs for physical, emotional, all of that needs? Or is that coming up in another session sometime?
I don't think. We had just kind of talked about like finding the behavior, the function of behavior.
Oh, okay.
Is
Yes,
it
yes,
avoidance? Is it
Uh-huh.
sensory stimulation?
Yeah.
Is it
Physical
escaping?
needs.
Is it
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
Attention
Yeah,
seeking.
and a lot of times, once you meet those needs, a lot of times I get hangry a lot. I'm like hungry and I want to eat, and if mama's not happy, then not very many people are happy. So it's great to be able to provide this snacks or food or gum or whatever is going to be appropriate for that individual, just to help provide either that sensory need or that hunger need. Also, sometimes they might be, cold. I'm cold all the time, so, especially, where I'm at, some people are hot all the time. So just finding that comfort level, because when we're not comfortable, we get grumpy. And that's the same way with the kiddos, and especially those with disabilities that have a hard time processing, like, I'm cold, but I don't know how to express that. So, and then also, it's just tired. Oh, good heavens. Yeah. Anyway, physical activity. Here we go. So, exercise is very important, and it kind of creates some endorphins in us that, like, not only like bring up our energy, but it also brings up some of our brain power in that processing. So that kind of helps. So, I need 4 volunteers. 4 volunteers.
I'll volunteer.
Okay, awesome.
I'll volunteer.
Okay, come on, Max. You can volunteer.
Daniel.
All right.
Daniel. Oh, you got
All right, so you guys, okay. So we're gonna play a mirror activity. All right. So I'm gonna have. What is her name?
Bethany.
Bethany. I'm gonna have you stand in front of. And what is her name?
Jody.
Jody. Bethany and Jody. You're gonna be there. And then JC and Lexa, you're gonna be. No, that's fine. Okay. So. So JC
Yes.
and Jody.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be the actors, and you two are going to mirror what they do. You're gonna mirror what they do.
Creative.
All right. Oh, I'm gonna give you what it is.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
So, okay, I can't move. Okay. Well, you all know that many people have already started putting up Christmas trees.
No.
So that's what y'all gonna do. So, you guys, I'm gonna give you some directives, and you're gonna have to like physically do it, okay? So you're getting the Christmas tree out of your storage.
It's going in the attic.
There you go, okay? And you're getting the Christmas tree up. Now you're fluffing it. You're fluffing it, getting it all nice. Oh, now you gotta go get the lights. There you go. And you plug in your lights to see if they work. And now you go ahead and you start putting the lights on your trees.
Big tree.
There you go.
They're all on the bottom.
And you put
We're decorating the same
ornaments
tree.
on. The ornaments. You're getting the ornaments. And then you gotta stop and you gotta get a glass of eggnog.
I don't know if I want to do that one. We need a snack. You're hungry.
Eat again, 'cause it's thick.
So you finish your ornaments and then you go
You
to
need a
find that
snack.
angel or the star at the tippy top of the tree. The tippy top of the tree. There you go. And now you look back. You step back and you look at your beautiful, beautiful Christmas tree. be able to, you know, they might be having a hard time in like praise and worship and where it's, you know, loud and stuff like that. And you know, you could just bring them, you know, to the back, you know, try to keep them in as much as you can, if it's appropriate for them. You'll be able to tell if it's benefiting them, if they're feeling overwhelmed or if they feel anxious, or if it's just a sensory overload. Some kiddos like that, and that's great. So you can, you know, bring them back and take them out in the hall, and you know, have them, you know, touch your toes, you know, just get them to move a little. And as we talk about what we call the least restrictive environment, that's the environment where people can maintain who they are the best without being a detriment to themselves or to others, okay? So you have to find that balance. Sometimes it might be this room. Might be, you know, which would be a great resource to bring them in here for a little bit, and then try to get them back into the service. So, okay.
I just want you to know that moment right here
Yeah.
created all of us to have a brain break.
Oh, there you go.
Because this really brought like a change.
Yes,
It
yes,
shifted.
yes.
And if you felt the difference, that's what the kiddos and the people who are getting a brain break actually feel. Like
Yes.
that's, oh, that was fun. Okay, now I'm ready to engage again.
Right,
So,
yes, yes,
brain
yes.
break,
Yes,
we experienced it.
yes,
Thank you.
yes. Good. Another mindfulness, a lot of times when you can get, you know, a lot of times I need it, and it's kind of a strategy. It's nice to be able to, if we can get, you know, the kids or the individuals to be able to start being able to quiet their bodies and calm their minds. One of the things is just deep breathing, where, you know, we always call it a balloon belly. You know, it's like, you know, you're taking a big, you know, breath of air in through your mouth. You hold it, and then you exhale. Through your nose, and you exhale through your mouth. And then we always talk about like your hand. Look at your hand. God made your hand so incredible. It's just, nobody else has a hand just like you. Do you see the lines in it? Look, some of them are long, some of them are short, just to be able to help them to focus and be able to calm their body and calm their mind on things. A lot of times you can have them just like trace their fingers, just to see like, oh, you're going up a bit, let's see if we can go down it. You know, to be able just to get some calmness. So, yeah, I feel calm already. So, yeah. And again, like I say, catch positive behavior as much as you can. Like, I love the way that you were, you know, like praising today. That was awesome. I bet God was so excited. Or, you know, that I loved the way you had your feet. They were nice and still on the floor. It didn't like distract anybody. Good job, you know. Just trying to find those positive things that you can do. Sometimes you're gonna have to really find something positive to do, even if it is like, you know, way to go. You know, you were able to focus on, you know, walking or the craft or the sermon. You know, you were able to focus on like 4 minutes. That's awesome. You know. So just being able to find those things where you can just really give them positive affirmation. And then also altering your volume and the cadence. We're kind of talking about when things are like really like, we have behaviors and it's like we are in meltdown mode. When you react and like, oh my gosh, I need you to be quiet, that kind of thing. It's just taking that energy up. So you're gonna, you know, it's gonna be kind of like training. It's gonna again sound foreign at first, But the more you do it, the more beneficial it'll be, and it'll be just this part of who you are and what you do. But, you know, when they're like, I need you to get up, you know, your parents are gonna keep, you know, be here, or, you know, we need to move, that kind of stuff. It's just like, you know, you get down on the floor with them. Say, hey bud, you're okay. Well, you know, I'm gonna count to 5. We're gonna see if you're gonna be ready to go when I count to, you know, when we're done with 5. I'll say 1, 2, you know, 4, 5. And a lot of times they have a really hard time because they're not quite sure what you're saying or doing, so they'll tune into that. And then they'll be quiet, and then you'll be like, are you okay now? Do you think we can move? Okay, well, let's count to 4 this time. So then you can, you know, change that. And a lot of times, not always, but the majority of the time, just being able to just calm down, even though they might be flailing and doing stuff, just you being calm will calm them. So, yeah. So those are some of what we call the inclusive practices that you can use and to help them to be able to participate with, you know, individuals without disabilities. Is there any questions so far? No? Okay. Well, there's some candy up here. Should we pass it
Should I
around?
pass it around?
Let's pass it around.
I got the candy. I was like, who brought this big bag of candy?
I know, there's some candy, so a lot of times candy's always good. And there's like popcorn and stuff and drinks, so if you need something, get up and grab it, yeah. So we have about like 25 more minutes, so if you need to stretch, if you need to stand in the back, that's fine, it's been a long time. Oh, yeah, thank you. I know they always say a good rule of thumb is a minute per your age level on attention span. Well, how old am I? 51? And I know I cannot pay attention for 51 minutes, so.
Sorry.
I didn't go trick or treating.
I'm gonna put these Post-it notes at the end of each row, so if you have a question, you can ask someone to pass you some Post-it notes, so they can,
Well, you can colors, since you brought colors.
Yes. Yes. Well, we're going to move on to some of the different strategies with different disability areas. And we're going to mainly talk about those on the autism spectrum, those with ADHD, and then kind of that encompasses the a lot of the times, if you are on the spectrum or you have ADHD, you most always have some kind of sensory processing. So we're going to kind of talk about all of that as well. And then if there's like a disability area that we haven't really discussed, and then during our discussion time we can talk more about that. Okay? Okay, here we go. All right, so, yeah, when caring for a child with autism, behaviors can be huge. Now remember, there's a spectrum, so there's all different I'm trying to say, like, levels of needs. So you can have some with just mild, and you know they're able to participate fully, engage in the kind of what we call whole group setting. And then there's others that I know, it's good stuff. I tell you, I tried to get the chocolate and the sour stuff for those that want that sour. Actually, it's for me to eat on the way home, but gotta even out eat.
You don't want all of it.
I know.
So I appreciate you defining what spectrum is, because that's a word that's tossed around a ton. Oh, you're on the spectrum. So you were starting to define that. I mean, you said levels of need, and you said some are high functioning, and then you.
Yeah, some have a few or mild symptoms, and we're going to kind of talk about the symptoms. And then others have more severe symptoms. So, and it just depends. So, on you know, on the kiddo. And, I mean, God's just incredible. I mean, when you think about how, like, unique everybody is, and our needs are just so unique, and our experiences, it's just, yeah, it's awesome. So,
I just wanna say,
Mhm.
we are not diagnosing.
oh heavens, no.
We are not
can't do
doing
that.
any of that, but I think that you giving us this understanding helps us to know that if a parent or a caregiver says, this is where my child is, it helps us to be able to go, okay, let me go back to these resources and make a connection with,
Mhm.
what that means this individual is capable of participating, or at least some ideas, so.
Yes,
I just wanted
yes,
to clarify
yes,
that we're
yes.
not diagnosing, we are
No.
using this as an informative, so thank you.
Yeah, it's a support. And, you know, there's medical diagnoses and then there's educational diagnoses. And believe it or not, those are two separate things. So medical diagnosis, we have, I mean, in my experience, I've seen many kids that have a medical diagnosis of the autism spectrum disorder that do not qualify for an educational disability on that because their education is not severely impacted by their disability. So, and that would be kind of the same thing, changing it from a school setting to a church setting, kind of the same thing. So there are some kiddos, people that, you know, high functioning can do well, you know, they might just have some mild symptoms. And then others have more needs, so, yeah. And behaviors can come on suddenly, you know, you're just thinking everything's going great, and then, you know, just within a split second, things change quickly. So, and,
I don't exactly get what a spectrum is.
a spectrum is like a big line, and so you can be on one end of the line, or you can be all the way on the other, or anywhere in between. So that's what kind of a spectrum is. So these, it can include, doesn't always include, but it can include, excuse me, trouble using and understanding language, or certain aspects of language, such as sarcasm, even body language. So they may not understand the scowl on your face. You know, they may not understand, you know, get those body cues of another, you know, same age peer, kind of like giving, you know, maybe being fearful, or, you know, if they were gonna get hit or something. They don't understand those, they don't recognize them very well. And again, some don't recognize it at all. Some of them do a pretty good job. So, another one is difficulty taking in sensory input in an ordinary way. You know, some people will like self-stim, and you know, they'll just be like shaking all the time. For us, what is this called?
Rock, sway,
A sway. You know, sometimes I do that. That actually, I consider it ordinary. I don't know, you may know, I don't know. But a lot of times I do. But that's an ordinary way. We all kind of what we call self-stim in some fashion. I know some of you are like kicking your leg, you know, and that's fine. But in some of, you know, they'll be rocking really back and forth, you know, and, you know, so they're getting that same sensation that I get when I'm just swaying. They're trying to get that with their body. So that's kind of one of the, another characteristic. Let's see, so yeah, routines are huge. And that's why it's great to be able to give them those transition, you know, cues. It helps immensely to be able to say, okay, you know, let's, I don't know, let's say we're in church, you know, and you know, big service. I don't know, that's what we call it, big service. And, you know, we just got, you know, you have a countdown, and then we're like, okay, the countdown's coming, and you know, pastor's gonna get up, and he's gonna, you know, pray, and then we're gonna sing, you know, that kind of thing, just kind of walking them through stuff. And then, you know, like, okay, you know, worship isn't put over, we're gonna take up an offering, and when we take up the offering, we're gonna be sitting down at that time, and then it's expected that we're quiet, because so we want everybody to hear and we're not distracting them, okay? Just to be able to kind of give them a heads up of what's coming. And then also, some people, you know, even need, okay, well, it's 8:09 now, and at 8:10, we're gonna be done with, you know, offering, and then at 8:10, you and I, we're gonna get up and go get a drink and go to the bathroom. So, some people are like clock watchers, and they need that. So that's always good too, or, you know, like, you know, here we're gonna be able to say, you know, like, you know, on my clock, like, you know, in 5 minutes, we're gonna do this. At 8:15, or when this, you know, hand gets to here, we're gonna be changing. And that just gives them a security. It just kind of helps them more. Some kids could care less. It's like, okay, you know, but it'll be nice as you get to know, as you get to know each other. Yeah, and here you go, trouble recognizing other people's opinion and understanding people's feelings. Yeah, sometimes they say what they think, and sometimes they're like, oh, okay, my breath does smell bad, I guess, you know, or something like that. You can't take it personal, you know, and sometimes it's to get a reaction out of you, because I'll tell you what, they know how to push buttons. So you just gotta be calm and say, you know what, I thought it was stinky, you know, or, you know, things like that. So just have fun, don't take things so personal. Yeah, and again, working with others might be challenging. So this is where, I know I missed a slide, but it's on that pro-social skills, is to be able to help model that. A lot of times kiddos don't cooperate with each other. It's like, it's my turn, you know, they don't have that patience that's developed, you know, and it's just like, I want it now, let's do it. So that's one of the things that we can do to help, you know, model them. It's like, hey, bud, you know, like, you know, let's say, you know, Sarah's using the scissors, well, I guess we, you know, scissors or crayons right now. It's her turn, and when she's done, then it's gonna be our turn. But while you're using the round crayon, then, you know, Jacob can, you know, use, you know, when you're done type of thing, to be able to walk them through things and help them kind of almost model cooperation, model conversation. So that's kind of challenging. Of course, and then also difficulty organizing things, and it's like, oh, where's your coat? I don't know. Where's your shoes? I don't know. Okay, but then you spend like, all, you know, tons of time after church looking for coats and shoes and, you know, all this stuff. So that'll be helpful too, to know, like, okay, well, this is your spot, and this is where we're always going to keep your coat and your shoes. If you take your shoes off, you know, this is where you're going to keep it. So, and then always remember, you know, as you're like playing and stuff, hey, do you remember where your coat is? Yeah. You know, just help them to make those connections that, you know, this is my stuff, I need to be responsible, I need to be able to take care of it. So, and there we go. And then here's some inclusive strategies for those that are on the autism spectrum. And I kind of also, we just talked about being able to help them, what we call it, pre-shadow the transitions, to know what's happening before. Also, sometimes, you know, kids, people, they are so visual and so routine oriented that it helps them to have some kind of a fidget or a transitional item that they only use during transitions. So like, you know, being able, like if you're moving from one area to another, especially in the kids area, and they're like dark, you know, or they're like, you know, want to touch everything, it would be really a good idea to have that transitional item, something that they really enjoy having, that they can have only during that transition time, and only when they're walking, or only when their, you know, hands are on there. So kind of as a reward, and it also gives them something to do and focus on, instead of just free for all, like, choo, you know, see this drinking fountain, I wanna climb on it, or, you know, something like that, so, that's kinda nice. Also just direct and just redirect things. So, kind of, we were just talking also about, you know, those avoiding those power struggles, just redirect, you know, it's like, but I wanted that red crayon, you know, it's like, hey, I'm gonna have some chocolate pie when I get home, or I'm gonna have, you know, apple slices, what are you gonna have? I mean, just totally take them out of it, totally get their mind like, ooh, food, okay, I'm gonna have, you know, or, you know, like, oh, wouldn't it be great to go swimming or something like that, yeah.
Now, using ABA, they use what's called a distractor trial or master task.
Uh-huh.
And so you can tell them to touch their nose or touch
Oh,
their
okay,
head
yes.
or jump. Let's spin.
Oh, good,
Something
yes,
like that.
yes, yes. Yeah, just getting them totally off of, that's a great point. So what Mr. Miyagi did? Yes, so, yeah, and always try to stay calm, you know, because you are their calm. You, a lot of times, you have to be that, like, secure, calm adult that they feel secure with. And again, I'm just so thrilled when I heard that the buddies will be with with the individuals for an extended period, as opposed to like changing, you know, like, oh, every month, this first week of the month, I'm with them, second week. So I think that's awesome, so you're really able to connect with them and understand them, you know, what they need and how they act, and they'll get in your heart for sure. So, yeah. One of the things I just wanted to share is many times what we expect behavior here in church or in service or in the classrooms, it's not the same expectations they have at home. So it's really hard a lot of times for them to understand, like, well, what do you mean? I can't call you a name or something, you know? It's like, because that's their reality at home. Have to lovingly try to redirect that and say, hey, we're not gonna talk that way here, okay? And then be able then to move on just quickly. Another thing that doesn't work are minutes and minutes of lectures, you know, or, to be able to say, well, you know, Jesus would not appreciate you talking that way. You know, it's just kind of address it and then move on. And one of the greatest things, and as you connect and you are working with them and the families, that prayer is going to be incredible, because I really feel that as you're working, God's going to do something not only through you but in you, and that as you begin praying and interceding for the individual and the family, that you're going to gain more of an understanding of not only God's love, but also the potential that this, individual has to impact the kingdom of God. Because, even the body of Christ, it says, the weakest is sometimes the most important. So, let's see here. All right, now ADHD. I saw a statistic that over 83% of the population has some form of ADD or ADHD, believe it or not. So, diagnosed or undiagnosed, medicated, unmedicated. So, we could use these characteristics and probably think, I'm like, yep, that's me, and that's fine. That's fine. So, catching directions the first time. It's really valuable. So when we do, give a directive like, I need you to line up. Well, they may not have heard that, and then you're like, I told you I need you to line up, and you get frustrated because they're not doing it. Well, they may not have heard you. They may have been off, riding a roller coaster at Disneyland in their mind, So it's a good, I know it's repetitious, but at least 2 to 3 times. And it's a lot of times you kind of know the kiddos that have a hard time, following directions. You could go over and say, okay, I need you to line up, and to get that eye contact and know that they're focused. Again, remembering directions, controlling their impulses, and blurt out. I like that girl's hair, poop, and then they, pull it or find something shiny on the wall and grab it or something. It's just really impulsive. It is, multiple steps are extremely hard. Concentrating, focusing for long periods of time. Like I said, usually what we call atypical, or just, a person that, has like no like cognitive challenges or neurological challenges. It's usually a minute of attention per like age level. So if you're a 4-year-old, you have about 4-minute attention span. So that's something when you're talking about the littles, huh? So you're having to move all the time. And then just keeping their body still and remaining seated and keeping organized, and again, keeping track of things. So, if an individual has a hard time sitting still, they can stand at the back. You can stand. That's fine. Go take a walk. Go get a drink. Come back. Sometimes, I'm glad that they're gonna have fidget bags. Sometimes it's just nice to have. Matter of fact, I tell my the kids, I usually at school and stuff, I usually always have some paper clips. And I'm not a fidgeter, but I always have a couple paper clips in my pockets, and I'm always fiddling with them, I know, like, my nephew, he calls it my car wash necklace. And I find myself, I'm always playing with my car wash necklace. So I'm just always doing this. So I mean, if I'm fidgeting and I don't have a medical or educational diagnosis, it's kiddos that actually have a diagnosis. It's appropriate for them to fidget, and they need that output. Sit them away from distractions. A lot of times they're talking, and they'll wanna, be talking during a lesson or during sermon, and their mind is like, about this and that. So try to sit between, if there's a couple buds, a couple girlfriends, just set yourself in between them, so you're able to kind of redirect things. Again, positive. These, kiddos, adults have so many challenges, and they have heard it their whole life. They know a lot of times that they don't have the same strengths and they may have a little more weaknesses than other people, and they're aware of that, and their self-esteem and their confidence is really, really low. I always try to, to speak into their lives, to be able to say, you have incredible strengths. You got an incredibly beautiful voice. Your smile just lights up the room. To be able just, be able just to find their strengths and really accentuate them, because, God has given all of us strengths and all of us weaknesses, and there's some just have different strengths and different weaknesses than others, so, and fidgets. Okay, let's see here. And, whoa, it's 8:25. So, we'll see if we answered this question. And you said, tip to help us keep our attitudes or opinions out of it. Like if you were working with a child, we don't know well. So, I guess my advice for that is to be able just to go with an open mind, that you are being used at this moment by God to be able to impact and influence a life. And there might be some, you might know some information, family information, you might know, an experience that happened before, but just to pray that God kind of helps you be able to put that aside and be able just to meet those needs of that kiddo or that individual at that time. Does anybody else have anything else that they could add to that? Yeah.
I find it really helpful. It's really hard to have a bad attitude about somebody that you're praying for.
Ooh.
It just really is. And I often find that when I may be praying for somebody I know not very little about and I don't really have any personal connection to. And if I pray for them long enough, over enough days, I find that I get more and more attached to them. I start to really care about them. Even if I've not been interacting with them and I'm just praying for them. God has a way of opening doors to helping you see that, for example, the kid who is misbehaving in Kids Rap is anxious and jittery. Or, the one that's giving you attitude has been bumped between two parents all week who are divorced.
That's good.
And they're just worn out. The things when I work in Kids Rap one day a month, and some of the kids that drive me the craziest, I start to learn about their story, and they still drive me crazy, but now I get nothing but compassion for them.
That's good.
Yep. Excellent. Good. Well, I commend each and every one of you. You have blessed my life, and I just feel just privileged and honored to have a small part of what God's doing here at First Assembly, because your extra care ministries and the lives are going to be touched through this. The families that are going to be impacted is going to be great. I don't know that you even have an idea. So thank you so much.